Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this information session on a 5-week program that we call Mindfulness for Academic Success. My name's Chris and I will be running this program along with 2 other counsellors who I'll talk a bit more about shortly. Before we kick off, as always, just want to recognise and acknowledge the land that we meet on today, the land of the Kaurna people, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and what a beautiful land it is. And we're so lucky to have this space where we can do this amazing wellbeing work and have this nature at our doorstep. It's fantastic. So this will go for around about 20 minutes. If you have any questions at all during the session, please just ask away. I've got this microphone because this is being live streamed and we're recording this as well for other people who might want to watch this at a later date. So today we're going to learn about what mindfulness is, what it isn't. We're going to talk about how to identify how mindfulness can be helpful for your study. Look at ways where you're already bringing mindfulness into your life, because we always are at different points in our life. That's a good idea. If you want to sit down, please feel free to. We'll be looking at how to bring more mindful moments into your life, and we're going to have a little practice as well. So give you a little taste of what we'll be learning in the 5-week program. So before we get into it, this is mindfulness in a nutshell, and hopefully you'll learn a bit today about what mindfulness is. However, if you want to go deeper, we have this 5-week course. It goes for 1 hour per week for 5 weeks. It's held in here on a Wednesday morning and down at Stir on a Tuesday morning. And it's starting in week 2. There's also another 5-week block starting in week 8. I'll talk a bit more about this towards the end. So just have a think in your head at the moment about which group you think you are in when it comes to mindfulness. And it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, isn't it? You hear it coming up a lot in mainstream media and in the world of well-being. So you're totally new to this, or do you know a bit about mindfulness? I just realised this door is open, letting in very hot air. And it looks like it won't. No, it won't close. That's probably why it's open, because you can't close it. You might know a little bit about mindfulness. You might have a bit of an idea, but you're not exactly sure. Or you might know a lot about mindfulness, and that's okay. What I invite you to do today is to have a beginner's mind. So if you do know a little bit about mindfulness, you think you have an idea, it's always nice to try and approach something as if it's for the first time. So the benefits of a beginner's mind, it tells the brain to go into learning mode, to be open to new information and to take in new information. Firstly, I just want to talk about what mindfulness is not. So we have this thing called the default mode, which is basically the opposite of attention. This is the mode that we're on normally. When we, say for example, driving our car, we can at times be in default mode. Has anyone driven from A to B and they get to their location and think, how the hell did I get here? Or even on the bus? Yeah, that's happened before. It happens to me a lot. And it's not that we're not focusing. I mean, I hope we are focusing and concentrating on what's happening. However, our body and our brain is so used to that certain route that we do every day, it might be to work, for example, that we can do it automatically. And it's kind of good in a way, because we don't want to be thinking and be mindful of every single little thing that we do every day, otherwise that would be exhausting. But there's pros and cons to both. But we're talking about here when you're not fully focused, you haven't got full attention. Automatic pilot is the other way we talk about this. And whilst it works in some ways, often it doesn't work in other ways. Now, this happens to everyone and it's very normal, and just briefly I'll give you a very quick history lesson on why this is the way it is, and you might know about this already, is that 100,000 years ago when we were cave people, it was really helpful for us to have an overactive mind. There were a lot of dangers on the earth. There were saber-toothed tigers, there were rival clans trying to kill us, there were people in our clan trying to kill us. There were extreme weather events. We had to be, to survive, we had to be alert to all these dangers. And it kept us alive. The ones that were a bit more relaxed and chilled, they got eaten by the saber-toothed tigers. Our ancestors are the ones that were a bit anxious and a little bit, a bit thinking about the future, planning for the future, thinking about what happened to their mate yesterday, and they're the ones that survived. So now, fast forward to 2024, here we are on Earth. There's not a huge amount of things out there to kill us at the moment, especially here in Adelaide. It's a pretty safe place. However, our mind is we still have that primal brain that still loves to think about potential dangers or go into that automatic pilot. So instead of worrying about saber-toothed tigers or rival clans, we might be worried about what people think about us, or are we going to pass that exam, or why has my boss called me into this meeting? And our body almost reacts with those anxiety symptoms sometimes that are preparing you to fight that thing in front of you. So we get that. Has anyone heard of fight, flight, freeze response? Yeah. So we're getting ready to either fight, run, or sometimes we just freeze. So it's all normal. We all do this. And it was there to protect us in the past, in the future, coming into 2024, into right now. Yes, it can be very helpful still. Safe, a car drives around the corner at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we don't even think about it. We just get out of the way. It's our instinct, and that's helpful. But there are many other ways where it's not helpful, and we'll talk about this. One of the main problems with this default mode is our mind loves to go over things from the past. And what I find is more so is quite linked to that anxiety, is worry about the future. And again, it's very normal. And don't get me wrong, it can be helpful to think about things from the past so you can learn about what happened. You might want to do things differently. And it's helpful to plan for the future. But when our mind is on that automatic pilot and it's just constantly going to that future and past, and it's robbing us of enjoying what's happening right now, or it means that we can't actually focus on our essay because we're worried too much. Come on in. Then it starts to become a problem. So this is what I was talking about. So our body is always present. Our body is always here, but where is our mind? Sometimes it's in the here and now when we're focused. Often it can be in past and future. So two lovely definitions of mindfulness here. One by John Kabat-Zinn, who's the grandfather of mindfulness. I mean, the idea of present moment focus has been around since, more than 2,000 years with Buddhism and other religions. What we're talking about is non-secular mindfulness. We're not talking about this in a religious context. This is a scientific context. John Kabat-Zinn is amazing because he created some mindfulness programs that are evidence-based, and research was done to show that this really does work for people. And the program that we're running here is based on that evidence. So his quote is here: "The awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience." Another quote here is to remember to pay attention to what is occurring in one's immediate experience with care and discernment. So if we're not mindful, we're probably in default mode. The opposite of the mind wandering to past and future is paying attention to the here and now. The opposite of ruminating and thinking about the same things over and over is directly experiencing what's in front of you, right there and then. Often our mind, and it's again totally normal for our mind to judge, criticise and avoid. With mindfulness, we're looking at having just curiosity, being aware. The first step is just to be aware of where our mind is. As soon as you're aware, you create that separation between us and our thoughts. If you think about it this way, these are our thoughts and this is us. Often we become enmeshed with them and we believe every thought we have and we think it's gospel, we think it's the truth. Often it's not very helpful and it's not true. So we're looking at how can we get that separation between us and our thoughts so we can just go, oh yeah, I'm having that thought, I'm going to let that come and go now. That's not helpful. And we do it with a sense of curiosity, openness and compassion for ourselves as well, because we know it's not our fault, it's our ancestors' fault, okay? So some of the ingredients of mindfulness, we're looking at purposefully bringing attention to the present moment with an attitude of openness and curiosity. And we're including body, emotion, thought. And of course, awareness is the key. And because our body is always here, using our senses can be one of the most powerful ways to bring yourself back into the here and now quickly, which we'll be doing very shortly. So I just want to open it up now to the group here. When do you think you're already mindful? When in your life do you think that you're in the present moment? Yeah.
When I'm like absorbed in something that I'm really passionate about, when art, my games.
Yeah. There's lots of mindful colouring in books you can buy from Big W and Target, Kmart, everywhere. That seems to be the rage because you've got to focus. Yeah. So doing art for you is yeah. And how do you feel when you're doing art and you're in the present moment?
Well, I think I get a lot of joy out of like setting my mind to something and then watching it kind of unfold. And I think as that comes through, it kind of just brings me back into the moment.
Mm-hmm. Great example. Any other examples that people would like to share when they're mindful?
Mine's kind of the same. I do like painting. It's just like I won't think about anything else but what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And time just passes by.
Wouldn't it be great to capture that? Yeah, and that's brilliant. And it's such. I think we intuitively know, don't we, that's something that we love doing. And for me, it's just playing the guitar. You know, when I'm playing the guitar, I'm focusing on what I'm doing, and it just feels good. Time goes quickly because you're in the moment. So as I mentioned before, coming to your senses can be a real... Yeah?
Doing math problems.
Doing maths problems? Oh. Okay. Yeah, well, everyone's different. Okay. Yeah. So because your mind, you're very focused. And I guess with maths problems, Extra focused, yeah. And I've seen you here doing your calculations on the whiteboard. You're like the Rain Man. Incredible. If you want to solve any math... Anyone here doing maths? No? Oh, okay. Well, you're the only one. I was going to say, if you are, talk to this man. Just some easy ways of coming into the here and now is, I mentioned being aware, so noticing what you can hear, noticing what you can see, noticing what you can feel, taste, smell. We do a great little exercise in the program where I give a raisin, a sultana to everyone, and we spend 10 minutes, no, maybe 5 minutes eating one raisin. It sounds ridiculous, but we're looking at it, we're observing the texture, we're putting it in our mouth, we're noticing the texture in our mouth, and we're biting slowly into it, noticing. It's really bringing you into the here and now. And we're usually, I'm not sure about you guys, but if I eat sultanas, I'm just throwing 20 in my mouth at once and not even really thinking about it, watching TV or something else at the same time. The other thing that can be really helpful is your breath. Because hopefully we're always breathing, which means that there is something within us that we can focus on to bring ourselves back into the here and now. And that's the exercise that we're going to do, is a mindfulness of the breath exercise. Before we do that, I just want to talk about intentional mindfulness. When you are, yes, painting and drawing and maths, they're wonderful. You might do that on purpose to be into the here and now, or it might just be a incidental type thing. But when you're intentional, you are building up certain neural pathways in your brain. This is a really exciting thing about mindfulness, is that scans have been done with Buddhist monks and other people that practice mindfulness meditation on a regular basis. Their brains look different. So the more that you are practicing mindfulness through informal ways or more formal ways like meditation, you are creating stronger neural pathways in your brain, and it means that you are actually changing your brain. So we now know that the brain is plastic, there's neuroplasticity. So the more you do this, the more focused you get, the more easy it is to sit down and just really focus on something. So this is why it's important to study. This is why we're offering this course to students at Flinders. We do need to practice it consistently. And yeah, you could say it might be easier to learn when you have a guide or a teacher. And yes, the more we practice, the stronger it gets. So we've got this, I've got a little thing on here. Oh, look at that. So the amygdala, that's our sort of ancient part of our brain that developed first 100,000 years ago. Then we've got this prefrontal cortex. That's probably the state that we're in now, where we're not so anxious, we're not too stressed, we can still make good decisions. But when stress comes up, when we become overwhelmed, this prefrontal cortex kind of switches off. And I use this little model of the brain. If you think about this as your amygdala, and the prefrontal cortex sort of flips. A famous psychologist called it the idea of flipping your lid. And all of a sudden the amygdala is firing and the fight or flight response kicks in. We feel stress in our body and we're sometimes unable to focus or do the things that we want to be doing. So regular meditators or mindfulness practitioners or people who are practicing mindfulness, it's been shown that people can have better emotional regulation, attention memory, perspective taking, and compassion for themselves and others. One thing we run through in the program as well is how to deal with feelings, how to deal with strong emotions as well. Because it's not just our thoughts, but it's often those feelings you get. Sometimes when I get really stressed, I get a bit butterflies in the stomach or increased heart rate, a bit dizzy, and our natural instinct is to avoid that and run away. But often that makes it worse, because one thing we teach here as well is that we can't control those feelings, our thoughts, which can be a bit confronting, but this is a way that we can, by accepting and being okay with what's happening, we can then experiment. And often what happens is they go away by themselves, and we just bring ourselves back to the here and now. And look, it's not to say that it's a magic pill and you're not going to experience any suffering for the rest of your life. That's not true, because life is challenging, especially when we're doing things that are important to us, like starting uni. Okay, enough of me banging on and talking about this. Let's do a little practice. So I'd invite you to sit back in your chair. If you want to sit on the chair or sit on the ground, it's totally up to you, that's fine. So sit back in your chair and just put both feet flat on the ground. And we'll just go for about 5 minutes. I'll invite you to either close your eyes, or if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can just fix your gaze with something in front of you, on the ground or something else. And all you need to do is follow my instructions. And we'll ring the bell to get started. I'll do this with you as well. So firstly, just noticing your body in the chair. Just noticing where your body is touching each part of the chair, where it's supporting your body. Noticing your feet on the ground. Noticing the space between your feet and the ground. Bringing your attention to what you can hear. Just noticing the sounds inside the room and the sounds outside the room. Just allowing the sounds to just wash over your consciousness. See if you can count how many different sounds you can hear. And now, for the next couple of minutes, we just are going to focus on the breath. So I just invite you to choose a part of your breath you can easily focus on. So it might be the sound of your breath. You might like to notice the rise and fall of your chest and your stomach. Or you might notice the temperature of your breath, that it's a little bit cooler as it comes in through your nostrils. It's a bit warmer as it exits your nostrils. So for the next 2 minutes, that's all you need to do, is just keep your attention on your breathing. That's my challenge to you for the next 2 minutes. What will likely happen is your mind will wander and think about other things. You might be thinking about what you were doing later, what you were doing before, what you're doing later today, or how long this exercise is going to go for. But whatever thoughts you're having, just see if you can just experiment with letting them come and go. And you can use a image in your mind, perhaps putting the thought on a leaf and watching it float down the stream, or imagining your thoughts are like a car driving past your house. And just let them come and go and bring your attention back to your breath. So if your mind wanders off 1,000 times, just bring it back to your breath 1,000 times. Just for 30 more seconds. Just allowing the thoughts to come and go. And bringing your attention again to the sounds. Inside the room, outside the room. And back to your body, your feet on the ground, your body on the chair. And now just start giving your fingers and your toes a little wriggle. Take your time with this. Feel free to open your eyes whenever you feel comfortable. Give your body a stretch. Well done for getting through that. Is that, for anyone here, is that the first time that you've done a mindfulness exercise? Have you all done something yet? Yeah. Does anyone want to share? Does anyone feel different now compared to they did 5 minutes ago? Yeah? In what way?
Refreshed.
Refreshed, yeah?
Due to lack of sleep.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Feel sleepy?
No longer sleepy.
Oh, no longer sleepy? Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it's just like a little bit tired. There is.
Yeah, it's very rejuvenating. Yeah, because it just gives that constant thinking mind a break. So it's a beautiful gift to give yourself to do this in a formal way, an informal way. Any other comments? Yeah.
I feel a bit more connected to my body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, yeah. One thing we practice as well in the course is mindful walking. Oh, yeah.
My brain feels tickled, but comfortable.
Okay, well that's good. Anyone have any negative experiences? Sometimes that can happen with mindfulness too. It's not in rare circumstances. We practice mindful walking in one of the weeks as well. I'm not sure about you, but sometimes my mind is racing so much and I'm thinking about different things that I walk so fast and I lose track of my body and I feel like I'm floating on the ground. So it's helpful, isn't it, to come back into your body. Anyway, we'll wind up now. Before we do, some myths and barriers. I can't stop my thoughts. No one, when you meditate, when you do mindful, that was a formal mindful meditation exercise. We'll be teaching informal as well, using the senses during the day. You don't need to always just sit there for 10 minutes and do a mindful meditation. You can be mindful at any moment of your day. But yes, thoughts will come no matter what. Am I doing it wrong if I get distracted? No. We will all get distracted. Buddhist monks that are sitting in caves in India have been doing this for 50 years will also get distracted and have negative thoughts. We are all human. I can't sit still, that's okay. That's fine. I can't sit cross-legged on the ground. You can, which is good. I have to sit in a chair. Oh, you can lie down. There's no rules around this. I don't feel calm. Am I doing it wrong? No, it's okay. You're going to have lots of different feelings that come up. That's part of the human experience if you're meditating or you're living life. And this is basically what's happening here. Now, we have awareness. Our mind wanders. We become aware. We shift our attention and refocus, and then the cycle keeps going. That's essentially what's happening in meditation. There's no way to just make your mind go blank. It's not about making your mind go blank. It's just about using an anchor of some kind, whether it's your breath, sound, what you can feel, your breath, as an anchor to the present moment. So when we're studying, it's about noticing when your attention drifts, bringing it back to your focus point, and in the 5-week course we go into more detail about these. I've talked about neuroplasticity. Getting back to the program. So it's 5 weeks, beginning week 2. We do another round in week 8, that's a separate group. But if you're interested, we'd love to have you along. We'll be running it in this room with another counsellor called Emily, or down at Sturt with Bob, one of our counsellors. So there's 5 60-minute sessions. It's very practical. We do some psychoeducation about practical strategies around things like stress, anxiety, procrastination, focus. And we do the practical exercises as well. So we'll teach you. And we'll also give you some audio you can take home and listen to. And we ask that everyone does a little 5-10 minutes a day. Because when you're doing a little bit every day, it means you're building up those neural pathways in your brain. And yeah, we had, I think I mentioned in the previous group, we had 13 out of 15 students complete the course last year, and they found it really, really beneficial. So I'd really invite you to come along and join us. Any questions about any of that? Yes?